All right, guys, it's the next morning. We're gonna go ahead and set up the paint booth outside. Really excited for this. The actual blow up booth is in this box here. I don't know how they fit it in such a tiny freaking box. And then in this box here are the two blowers that we have. So this thing's really small on the inside. We can't even, I doubt we could even fit all the parts that we need to spray in here comfortably. I don't know why I didn't look into it more. I didn't even realize that there's like two separate rooms. If this separate room was in here, it'd make life a lot easier. And we could always cut it out, but yeah, there's not a whole lot of space in here, which kind of sucks. Should have bought a bigger one, a much bigger one. So that booth was way too small. We could have sprayed out maybe one fender inside that thing, so it's kind of useless, to be honest. So I went ahead, got everything set up in the shop again. I'm not gonna worry about masking off the walls. I'm just gonna wet the floor, and then we can go ahead and get all these parts sprayed out. So the process is gonna be to clean them up all with waxing grease remover, and then we're gonna lay down some epoxy primer, which is this stuff here, MP170 epoxy primer gray. We're gonna let that cure. I think it's gotta dry for about an hour, and then after that we can do the base. Probably gonna be 2, maybe 3 coats of base, and then 2 coats of clear. That's the plan. I really hope all the ABS plastic parts turn out good. We are gonna go ahead and spray this section of the front bumper, just this little area right here that sits in the engine bay, because we had to fix those holes. So I figured we might as well spray that out at the same time. Kind of sucks we weren't able to use the booth that we waited weeks for, but I should have known better. I should have looked into it more. It said on the listing the internal space, and it's like 4 feet by 6 feet internal space. So 24 square feet to spray out all this stuff. Wasn't really gonna happen. Everything is cleaned up with waxing grease remover. Hit all the parts with a tack rag, slap down some adhesion promoter on the ABS plastic pieces. Epoxy primer is mixed up, 15-minute induction time, so in about 10 minutes, we can start laying down some epoxy. So we're all sprayed out with the epoxy. Definitely the best it's ever sprayed out for me. which is exciting. I tried a few new techniques, as you can see over there on that box, with spray patterns and widths and whatnot. And I think I got that gun set up pretty good with air pressure and spray, like how wide it is, how wide the fan is and all that. So I'm really excited with how flat it laid down, because the flatter this is, the flatter the base is going to be, the flatter the clear will be, so the better overall the whole project is going to look. There was a few fisheyes that came through. That's on the bottom of the blade, so I'm not too concerned with it. If that was on the top, I'd be pretty upset, but the top turned out perfect. And I think that's the only thing I noticed as far as fisheyes go. So that is pretty exciting. Bumper turned out good. Everything turned out really, really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this flash off for about 30 minutes. I don't wanna rush it. The biggest pain with painting in the shop is always trying to keep the floor wet, because obviously you cannot get water on the parts and it mists up kind of when you're spraying the floor. So that's been a pain. And the main reason I do that is just so we don't get paint stuck to the floor. It also does help keep dust down. But yeah, the main reason is I don't want this floor painted, because that's not cool. While we're waiting for all that to flash off, let's go ahead and mix up the base. We already got the gun cleaned out. I noticed if you clean it immediately, it cleans much easier. So yeah, let's grab some base and get her mixed up. So we had some weird cracking going on. It's definitely in the fiberglass, and the black was it wasn't filling into it like the epoxy primer was. So what I did is just basically just hold the gun farther apart, or farther away from the panel, I mean, and kind of mix it in like that. I went over it again after it flashed off, and then it filled, but it's super weird, all that cracking. I don't know if you can see it right now. It'll definitely be noticeable when we lay down the clear though, which really freaking sucks. I always get really impatient in between coats of base, and especially in between coats of clear, and you have to let everything flash off, or else you kind of trap all the solvents in the paint. Pretty sure that's what happened on the truck bed when we had a ton of issues going on and had to redo it like 3 times. So I always force myself now just to walk outside and freaking drink some water and look at the cars that we don't have space for. We've slapped down 2 coats of base. There's this new channel I've been watching. The channel is called Paint Society. It's literally all about painting, automotive paint stuff. And he always says coverage plus 1 coat. So that's what we're gonna do. 2 coats definitely covered. I wanna do 1 last coat. Wait probably at least 30 minutes, maybe even longer, 45 minutes, and then 2 coats of clear. The thing I wanna try with clear is, and I've never really done it, is the first coat, put on quite a bit lighter, and then it kind of acts apparently as like a glue for the second coat, and then the second coat you can spray it on much thicker, and it's going to lay out really, really flat and not run off like if you would just hose down the first coat. So I'm going to try that. The base laid down really, really flat, so I'm nervous but excited for the clear, because the clear we can't mess up. All right, we got our clear mixed up. This is just Omni Plus MC161 high solids urethane clear. Nothing special. I'm not good enough to use expensive paint yet. When I get really good, I'll use really high-end paint, but for now, this shit does the trick. 2:1 ratio of 161 to the catalyst, or the hardener, which is 167. All right, we got everything sprayed out. Definitely the best and most comfortable, confident, overall the best paint job that I've done. Only issue is there is quite a bit of dirt in the paint. For example, here's the rear bumper. If you zoom in, you can start seeing some dirt here and there, which kind of sucks, but that was kind of out of my control. I did everything I possibly could to keep as much dirt out as possible. Overall though, everything laid out as flat as I've ever laid it. This bumper turned out amazing. That little bit of cracking that we had really sucks, but there's nothing we can do about it now. So bumper turned out good. Very minimal fisheyes in the wing. It was just on the bottom of the blade. Nothing else had any fisheyes. Fender turned out good. And then of course we just did a little bit on that front bumper. I'm not gonna pull them outside yet until a few hours or maybe even tomorrow. So if you guys wanna see what they look like out in the sun, go check out tomorrow's video. I got a lot of stuff to do. This video you're watching right now is gonna be up on YouTube in like an hour, so I gotta go home and edit. I think I'm gonna buy a really large paint booth. Same concept as the one we tried earlier, but just like the biggest one that they possibly make, just so we can fit a ton of parts in there or a whole car. Probably not my truck because it's very big and I'm probably never gonna paint it, but to do a whole car would be so sick. And I think we're almost to that stage, or we may be to that stage in that challenge of a whole freaking car. That'd be insane. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Peace out, my friends. I'll see you guys tomorrow.